Welcome to the show. Another ISO show coming to you live from Harlem, New York, as we do. Talking NBA playoffs today. Sad day. Sad day for the Boston Celtics and the Boston Celtics fans. Obviously, last night, big win for the Knicks. But I feel like shit, man. I don't like to see players get injured. Jason Tatum, with what appeared to be a torn Achilles. Um, I mean, has not been confirmed as of Tuesday afternoon, but yeah, just a shitty situation. Jason Tatum, you know, for everything that's been said about him, obviously a great player, works hard, does all the right things. Um, just sucks, man. Just sucks to see Tatum go down like that, and really ruins what was a dope competitive game, and what was looking like it had the potential to be an all-time type of series. Just the drama, you got the defending champs going down 0-2, taking a punch from the feisty Knicks champs with a little big bounce back game three, busting up, smacking up the Knicks on Saturday. Had a chance to try to go back to Boston 2-2. We don't know how that game would have turned out. When Tatum went out, I think they were down 9, a little less than 3 minutes left. But Tatum was fucking cooking, man. He was on a mission that game. Nobody else for the Celtics really pulled. The rest of the Celtics, for the most part, pulled a no-show. Not anybody else really showed up. Jaylen Brown had a rough game, but Tatum was cooking, man. 42 points, 8 boards, 4 assists, 4 steals, 2 blocks when he left the game. Yeah, it just sucked. Just sucked to see that. Sucked to end the game that way. I don't even really remember what happened after he got injured, because it just felt like the game was. It just felt like the game and the series just ended right there, because everything that we could have hoped for in terms of drama, in terms of getting, even if the Celtics would have went on to lose Game 4 and gone back to Boston 3-1, if Tatum is healthy, I think everybody could have still wondered what's going to happen. Are they going to be able to come back? It would have still been interesting to see what happened. But now with Tatum out, it pretty much seems, obviously the Knicks still got work to do, and I don't expect Boston to lay down. In fact, I expect them to win that game in Boston and send the series back to New York. I think they have a good chance to win Game 6. Rally up, whatever. But I mean, who knows? Maybe they lay down and they end up getting beat. If the Knicks are fully healthy and they're without Tatum, maybe they lose Game 5 and it's Knicks in 5. But I do think that the Boston Celtics will show something in Game 5. But the series it's not the same. It sucks. It would have been sick to watch the series play out, maybe get 6 or 7 competitive games, see what Tatum looks like in these opportunities and these more clutch and big time moments. But unfortunately, Tatum goes down, likely going to be out for the rest of the series, likely going to be out all of next year if it is the Achilles tear that we suspect it to be. But yeah, just sucks, man. Sucked. Super whack. But Knicks go up 3-1 in the series. If you're a Knicks fan, you got to feel good about that. It sucks in that the fact that, can't feel too bad for the Celtics fans, just because last year they were the beneficiaries of a lot of injuries as well in their road through the playoffs. So, just happens, but doesn't make it not suck. But anyway, Knicks with a bounce back win after getting slapped up on Saturday. They showed a lot of fight, and I got to give credit to Tibbs, man. Tibbs made a lot of adjustments, if I felt like, both offensively and defensively. They were clearly hunting Cat on the defensive end. They liked that matchup. They were hunting, getting him solo, locked up with Tatum and locked up with Jaylen Brown. And to the first half, Cat was struggling a little bit, but credit to Cat, he stayed with it. He did a decent job kind of moving his feet and staying with. But I think that some of the adjustments that Tibbs made, having them do switches off, and Cat almost was leading Tatum and Brown into a more crowded paint in the second half of that game. So I did notice some adjustments that were really good. Another good game for Cat. I like the way he has been big. He hasn't been, you know, resorting to finesse play. He's been taking it to the basket, taking it up strong. Most, if not all of his points have been in the paint, which, that has been part of what has troubled Cat in the playoffs and just in his career generally. He was, getting a lot of outside the paint points, not really known for banging down low. So good to see him coming up strong, coming up big, showing some toughness. Obviously, Celtics are not known as a big time tough team or not a physical team. Their one weakness probably is on the rebounding end. So good to see the Knicks take advantage of that with the combination of Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns. But um, even last series, like I said, I think Cat really played well in a tougher series, more physical series with the Pistons, and that kind of prepared him and the Knicks to be physical with the Celtics. So glad to see Cat come through. Glad to see Tibbs make some good adjustments. And huge game for Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges is really starting to show, I think, what a lot of people thought that he had the potential to do. Huge third quarter to kind of keep the Knicks in it, and he was just scoring, getting to spots, hitting his shots, shooting with confidence. Um, if Mikal Bridges can give you that on a consistent basis, the Knicks could really be a problem moving forward for whoever they face, whether it's Pacers or Cavs or whoever. It's just a matter of getting Mikal Bridges to show up like that on a consistent basis. Obviously, a bounce back game from OG as well, who he had a rough game three. So it's really just about getting those consistent contributions from everybody on the Knicks. And I think one of the best things about the noticeable difference in the Knicks offense and how it flowed and how it looked in this game four was you had Jalen Brunson with 12 assists. If Jalen Brunson is going to be dropping 39 points and coupling that with 12 assists, the Knicks are going to be a big problem. That's their key to offense. If they can get Jalen Brunson to not only be a scorer in crunch time, but also distribute and give other guys opportunities to score, get them some easy baskets, and they can shoot with some confidence. That's going to be a big time. They could be a big time threat. The Knicks could be a big time threat in the Eastern Conference Finals. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but given the circumstances, it does look like they have a good chance to go there. I like what Jalen Brunson said at the end of Game 4. He said, "We're not done yet. Job is not finished. Still got more work to do." So that's what you want to hear from the captain. But the Harlem sounds are coming out, honking horns and car alarms and all that shit. But we powered through. We powered through. So although we get robbed of all of the drama and all the storylines of what could have been an amazing series and an amazing, it's always good when you get to see the champ sort of face adversity. Unfortunately, we're not going to get to see the series play out the way it could have. But nevertheless, excited for Game 5. Looking forward to seeing what the Celtics bring. I'm sure that the Celtics fans will be sad, but they will be there. They will bring it in Game 5. So remains to be seen how that goes, but we look forward to that. And then the other game of the night, the Wolves go up 3-1 against the Warriors. Another series that is just kind of bummed out because of the injuries. Steph Curry being out, you know, when he first went out after Game 1, you kind of felt like maybe Jimmy Butler, if he can pull one game out, you play off Jimmy and get the Warriors, keep them in the series and until Curry could hopefully be available. But Jimmy seems to have given you one game, but last night, a little bit of a quiet game for Jimmy. I don't want to call it a no-show, but, 9 field goal attempts, under 20 points, when, you know that you got to be the guy. With Curry out, we understand that this is what they traded for Jimmy for, to take some of the load off of Curry. And then if, for whatever reason, Curry's unavailable to sort of supplement the scoring. He did not do that in this most recent game. I don't know why. Jimmy's a weird dude, man. Sometimes he just decides that he's going to play a passive game. Sometimes, I don't know if he gets an attitude. Who knows what's going on. But he did not appear to be the hungry, confident playoff Jimmy that we grew accustomed to seeing in a Miami Heat uniform. But Wolves go up 3-1. Curry's not expected to play in game 5, so that looks like that could be a 4-1 gentleman's sweep by the Wolves, because I just don't, if the Warriors couldn't get one at home, I feel like that could very well be a Minnesota closeout game in game 5. We did, however, see the ghost. There was a ghost sighting. We saw a ghost in Golden State, and that was the ghost of Jonathan Kuminga. Jonathan Kuminga, who seemed like he was dead, buried, banished to the back of the bench with Golden State. I don't really understand what Golden State is doing with Jonathan Kuminga. I thought he was going to be a part of the Jimmy Butler trade. I didn't even think he was going to be there at this time. But they decided to trade Wiggins, and I start to question now whether or not that was a Heat thing or a Warriors thing, because it seemed for what feels like 2 years that the Warriors were unwilling to trade Jonathan Kuminga for whatever reason, because I guess they still believed in him and had hopes for him. So I thought that that was why he wasn't a part of the Heat deal. But then they banished him to the bench. So then I'm thinking, was it that the Heat didn't want him? The Heat, maybe Pat Riley wanted Andrew Wiggins because he thought they were going to pull something out of this season. And Wiggins is a more veteran player, more known for defense, where Kuminga kind of struggles on defense. I don't know. But Kuminga comes back now that Curry is out. Steve Kerr gives Kuminga the green light. He goes out there and just fucking shoots 100 shots in the last 2 games. I think he had 30 points. And then I think he had 23 points last night. But it just wasn't enough. If Jimmy's not going to contribute and match the Jonathan Kuminga offensive effort, they don't really have anybody else who's going to get it done in that type of way, especially against the Wolves, who are already a tough team to score against as it is. Tough defensive team. You really needed Jimmy to attack the basket, draw some fouls, and kind of have an imprint on the game. And he had a really quiet game. So seems like the Warriors are going off quietly. I don't know what the future will hold for the Warriors if they're unable to come back in this series. They got Jimmy signed for 2 more years at a big number. He's going to be 38 by the time this contract is done, making $56 million a year. It's going to be an interesting offseason for these teams that end up getting knocked out. Warriors made that desperation trade to bring him in, and unfortunately, they're never going to really they didn't get to really see what it played out to be with Curry getting hurt, so that kind of sucks. But you would have liked to have seen a better effort from Jimmy, but c'est la vie. But from the Wolves' perspective, got to give a shout out to Julius Randle, because Julius Randle was a guy who, throughout the regular season, at least early in the regular season, as the Knicks took off and were scoring and Cat was having a big time year, it was all, wow, good thing they got rid of Julius Randle. He's a bum. He doesn't fit with Minnesota. It's not working. What was Minnesota doing? How could they make that trade? It was terrible. It was stupid. And sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it takes time for these players to click and for these situations to work out. And it looks like Julius Randle's found his way, found his place on this team, found his place paired up with Anthony Edwards. He had another 30-point game last night. The game before that, he has a triple-double. Julius Randle doing it all, distributing, scoring, rebounding. Seems like he's just as good of a complement with Rudy Gobert as Cat was. So I don't know. They seem like they're all kind of putting it together at the right time. People kind of went into this playoffs thinking, I don't want to say everybody, but it seems like people didn't really have too much faith in the Wolves. They weren't really talked about. It was Lakers, it was this, it was that. But we forgot the Wolves. They were in the Western Conference Finals last year. Just because they traded away Cat doesn't mean they don't still have that fire. And now that they have gotten Julius Randle in the fold, Wolves could be dangerous. Obviously, they're going to face a dangerous team, whether they play OKC or Denver, but Wolves look like they're putting it together at the right time. And if they face Denver, we know that they faced Denver last season and they were able to take them out. So I don't even know if Denver's going to get out of that series, but we'll face that another day. They're tied up at 2-2, so that still has a ways to go. But the Wolves look good, man. Wolves look good. Ant looks like he's finally gaining some steam. He's scoring more and more each game, it seems like. And it feels like he's also taking on a little bit more of a leadership role, growing into his role and his position with that team. So Wolves definitely could be dangerous, and I think they're probably going to take the Warriors out in Game 5, get them up out of here. Especially if Curry doesn't play, if they don't get some type of a boost from Curry coming back or something, or unless you tell me that Jimmy's just going to have a crazy, 50-point Jimmy playoff game. Yeah, I think the Wolves are going to sweep these Warriors up out of here. Gentlemen sweep, get them up out. And that would be good for them because whoever comes out of that Nuggets and OKC series, that's been a tough, ugly, drag through the mud type of series. Whoever comes out of that series is going to be gassed and beat up. So if the Wolves can get the Warriors out early, get some rest, that's going to be good for them going into the Western Conference Finals. And then going back to the games over the weekend, we had the Pacers, Cavs on Sunday. My goodness, Cavs are cooked. I mean, unfortunately, after that first half, they got completely bum rushed. I think they were down, what was it, 80-39, or something crazy like that. Huge margin at the end of the first half. They seemed like they just weren't ready to play. Max Strus and DeAndre Hunter both getting into it with the Pacers. Seems like the Pacers just getting all up in the Cavs' head. And I don't think I feel like Kenny Atkinson has mismanaged this series. He's, obviously a good coach of the year. He's coached in the playoffs before, but this is a different type of animal, different type of expectations, and different level of competitive series. And I just feel like he's mismanaged the series a bit. I think that game 2 obviously was a hugely pivotal game. That Halliburton game winner in game 2 feels like that was a season or a series ender because they really needed to win that game. They came into the series banged up, and I feel like Atkinson kind of treated it like a little bit of a regular season series, like, oh, we're just going to put in our bench guys. And he learned that Ty Jerome, that regular season Ty Jerome, there's no playoff Ty Jerome. It's a whole different ball game, and Ty Jerome was in no type of way ready for playoff basketball. Not to shit on Ty Jerome, he's a good player. He had a great season, but we saw, as we do oftentimes, these playoffs are different, man. Guys who get it done night in, night out in the regular season, when teams are sleepy and, sometimes these fourth quarters, if the game is out of hand, you can pad some stats and shit like that. But playoffs is a different animal, and you're not going to just not make adjustments and just try to run the same type of game with your bench players as you do with your starters in the playoffs. It just don't work like that. And I think Kenny Atkinson is learning some of that. He tried to run, he tried to keep his starters in too long in game 2, and then they totally collapsed and they blew that game. And I feel like once they blew that game, went down 0-2 in the series at home, they were cooked. They tried to battle back. They got their win in game 3, but couldn't get it done in game 4. Got blown out. And now, worst of all, Piers Donovan Mitchell is hurt. He's a game time decision for tonight's game. Didn't play the second half of last game. He seems to have, not to put any bad juju on him, but it did look like he was experiencing something in the ankle Achilles area too. I would hate to see him go out there and suffer an injury too. If he can go, he'll go. He's gonna battle, but I don't know, man. I don't want to see any more injuries affecting these playoffs. So Cavs look cooked, whether he plays or not. They may lose this game at home. I mean, if he does play and he's healthy, they definitely have a chance to win with Donovan Mitchell. He's that kind of dude. But coming back from 3-1 against this Pacers team, a feisty Pacers team, a Pacers team that, despite, getting some good breaks last season when it came to injuries, they did go through, they did go to the Eastern Conference Finals. That does give you a little bit of playoff experience and some tests. So I feel like they came into this playoffs ready. They look like they could be headed to a second Eastern Conference Finals, just like how the Wolves could be headed to another Western Conference Finals. And we might get another Knicks Pacers Classic Series, which that is something to be excited about. Knicks can get their revenge on the Pacers for knocking them out game 7. So hopefully we pray for health, and we can at least get a hopefully a classic series Eastern Conference Finals this year between the Knicks and the Pacers if it all sort of plays out. And then lastly, we had Nuggets Thunder. That was the early game, yeah, on Sunday. One of the ugliest playoff games that we've ever seen. I think the lowest scoring first quarter playoff game we've ever seen. That was just two teams that are just totally gassed. Now they got to fly back to OKC and have another game, game 5. I expect them to both be gassed. I will be on the under in that game as well, because the under has been cashing with this series, because these are just two teams that are just throwing haymakers. Jokic is out there battling, but you could tell he's just completely gassed, completely exhausted. And the Nuggets have no bench. They just have nobody. And I hate to say it because I'm a big Russell Westbrook guy, but the more he struggles, the worse the Nuggets are. The Thunder are not even guarding him. They're letting him shoot wide open threes. He can't knock them down. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, man. I don't like to talk shit about my guy Russ, but I mean, he's he's definitely a benefit for the Nuggets. I just feel like they really needed another bench guy and not have to rely on Russ. Add to that the fact that Michael Porter Jr., he's playing through some type of shoulder injury, and I give him credit for that. He's playing tough, but he's not been very reliable on a game in, game out basis. Some games he'll, depending on how the whatever injection he's getting to get through the game, depending on how potent it is, it seems like he could play well. And then another game he'll have a dud. Some games he'll shoot well. Some games he misses all the shots. So Nuggets are really just hanging on by a thread. I hate to say it because I was a Thunder skeptic, and I feel like a fully healthy Nuggets team, or even if the Clippers would have gotten out of that series, I think they could have given the Thunder a good run. Obviously, the Nuggets are still giving the Thunder a run, but after that last game, I just feel like the Nuggets are going to run out of gas, man. I just can't see how they're going to keep on running such a short rotation against a Thunder team who they're not afraid to play their bench. They keep a long rotation. They got a lot of guys that they're willing to throw in there. And I'm not a big bench in the playoffs kind of guy, but you got to have something. The Nuggets really don't have much of anything. They're literally running like a five man unit, and Russ is coming in there for a couple of occasional minutes, but he's not, unfortunately, not in his prime. So I think OKC is going to get out of that series. But tonight's game should be interesting, man. I'm not going to count out the Nuggets, not going to count out Jokic. They obviously can't guard him. It's just a matter of if he's going to be able to have enough gas in the tank to knock down enough of his shots. But they obviously cannot guard him. Chet and Hartenstein got nothing for Jokic. He still can get his points whenever he wants, but he needs some other people to get involved. So we shall see how that goes. And then the last but not least, we had the draft lottery. Of course, Nico Harrison, the sun is shining on you today, my friend. You get the number 1 pick. You get an opportunity to either draft Cooper Flag or maybe move that pick to bring the Greek Freak to pair him up with AD. I don't know what the plan is for Dallas, but amazingly, they get the number 1 pick in the draft. The everybody says it's rigged NBA draft lottery. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It appears like it is with some of the spookiness that we've seen and all the kind of coincidences that have happened with the NBA draft. But Mavs get the first pick, Spurs get the second pick, and the Spurs with the second pick in the draft after having back-to-back rookies of the year with Wembanyama and Stephon Castle. So let's see what the Spurs do, man. Maybe they move on from De'Aaron Fox. Maybe they move Stephon Castle. I don't know. But they're both in good positions, those two teams. Brooklyn Nets got screwed. Washington Wizards got screwed. A lot of teams got screwed. And you know what? It serves them right, man. All this tanking shit got to stop. I understand that if you can't compete, you want to put yourself in a position to get assets. But I'm tired of seeing these non-competitive ass teams just night in, night out, just like not even playing their good players, just benching them or whatever. That shit is whack. Get the tanking up out of here. Screw the teams that tank for the pick. I'm glad they didn't get it. I mean, I, I'm not glad that the Mavericks got it because I don't feel like they've managed themselves well either. But to see these teams like Utah, Brooklyn, Washington, these teams that just totally bagged the season, to see them not get rewarded for it, brings me a smile, brings me happiness, puts a smile on my face. But that's gonna do it for this show. We're just gonna get up out of here. We're gonna try to do another show either before or after the next Knicks Celtics games. It's really getting down to it here. We're gonna start doing WNBA because that's gonna start next week. You know I'm fucking fired up for that. Liberty title defense. And we got Natasha Cloud up in here now. So we coming. Let's go. But until then, we'll see you next time. 3 to the dome. Peace.